They never mentioned this part to you, that the most significant shifts in your life wouldn't arrive like fireworks or grand explosions. They would come disguised as silence, confusion, and stillness. That the greatest transformations wouldn't announce themselves with celebration, but through the quiet realization that something no longer fits. You wake up, glance at your surroundings, and sense that you've outgrown the vibration of your current life. The walls seem built from outdated versions of you, not wrong, simply expired. And then a whisper rises inside. It's time to leap. Not physically, not metaphorically, but quantumly. Most believe quantum jumping is just figurative language, a spiritual expression for changing your mindset or imagining a better life. But what if it isn't symbolic at all? What if, just as in quantum physics, it's a tangible, measurable shift, a realignment of energy so precise, so immediate, that it bypasses the in-between entirely? No step-by-step process, no staircase to climb, just a sudden relocation of self, like an electron leaping from one orbit to another without traveling through the space between. In physics, this is known as a discontinuous transition. The electron doesn't move gradually. It vanishes from one state and reappears in another in an instant, once it absorbs enough energy. That's not metaphor, that's science. And what if you, as a vibrational being intertwined with infinite timelines, operate the same way? What if those moments you feel restless, like something is urging you to break free or walk away, aren't just emotional fluctuations? What if those impulses are your field preparing to leap? The problem is most people don't tune in. They rationalize, hesitate, and overanalyze while their soul has already stepped forward. The mind lags behind decisions the heart has already made. That's why transformation feels messy. Because you're resisting a leap that has already begun. The only thing delaying it is your attachment to understanding how it will happen. Quantum jumps ignore linear logic. They don't require explanations, only alignment, an internal signal stronger than your fear. That's when the field locks in. That's when the leap takes form. And you've experienced it before, haven't you? That moment when a relationship ended and your chest felt 10 years lighter. That moment when you quit a job and the air suddenly felt different. When you finally stopped justifying yourself and the world responded with silence and then with breakthroughs. Those were leaps, not gradual shifts, not linear progressions. Real jumps, not marked in your calendar but in your signal. And the reason nothing seemed to happen immediately wasn't because nothing shifted. It was because the field was still reorganizing itself around your new frequency. That's how it works. The second you choose, not wish, not hope, but choose a new state of being, the field starts reconfiguring everything around you. But most people abort the leap too early. They panic when they don't see fast evidence in physical reality. Doubt sets in, they revert, and the new timeline collapses back into the familiar. But here's the key. Quantum jumping isn't about belief. It's about transmission. You don't need to convince yourself it's real. You just need to stop broadcasting the signal of who you were. And this is where the real process begins. Because in the next few moments, you'll see why quantum jumping isn't symbolic. It's a method, a precise vibrational strategy. And when you learn to activate it deliberately, without waiting for life to corner you, you stop reacting and start choosing. So don't force yourself to grasp everything instantly. Just remain present. Observe what's unfolding. Because if something already feels different in your body right now, the leap might already be underway. You can't leap while clinging to the old. That's the first rule, the one most resist. Because leaping isn't about acquiring something new. It's about becoming someone else. It requires letting go of what no longer resonates. Thoughts, behaviors, identities, timelines, and narratives. Not in a single motion, but fully and energetically. You can't transmit the frequency of your future while staying tied to the emotion of your past. The field doesn't process two signals simultaneously, and it doesn't react to the loudest, it responds to the clearest. This is where quantum mechanics and identity psychology intersect. In the quantum field, every possibility exists simultaneously as potential. You don't build a new timeline, you access it. And the key isn't more effort, longer visualization, or harder striving. It's collapsing the wave of your current self, becoming emotionally and neurologically unavailable to the identity that created your current reality. That's the paradox. You don't step into your new life by fixing the old one. You leap by no longer being the one who needed it fixed. Neuroscience confirms identity isn't just a narrative. It's a network of neural pathways. When you wake up replaying problems, worries, regrets, you're reactivating that familiar self. That self has a specific frequency, and that frequency tells the quantum field, keep transmitting the same signal. But what happens when you disrupt that loop? When you rise and ask, what would my future self do? And then, without waiting for proof, you act in alignment, not pretending, but deciding. Because every future carries a frequency and every identity is encoded. You don't earn that future, you tune into it. And that tuning demands one essential thing: emotional coherence. If you speak abundance but feel lack, the field matches the lack. If you picture success but hold on to guilt, the field mirrors guilt. That's not punishment, it's feedback. The universe isn't judging you, it's calibrating to you. So the real question becomes, what emotional patterns are you still practicing that belong to the self you're shedding? Worry, people-pleasing, hiding. These aren't just behaviors. They're frequencies keeping you bound to the timeline you claim to have outgrown. To collapse an identity is to stop rehearsing it. And it doesn't require 30 days, 21 steps, or a ritual cycle. It demands a single moment of radical, energetic truth. You face the version of yourself addicted to the old story and say, I love you, but I no longer choose you. That's the split. That's the leap. That's the signal the field answers. Because the field isn't listening for perfection or excitement, it's scanning for coherence. A state where your thoughts, emotions, actions, and beliefs align with the frequency of the life you desire. And when you strike that frequency, even briefly, the quantum field locks on. Then something unexpected happens. The urge to push, to prove, to grasp disappears. You become calm, clear. That neutrality isn't detachment. It's the sign that the old identity has gone offline. That's why transformation can sometimes feel dull. Without the drama of doubt or the tension of duality, there's only presence, and presence is raw power. You're no longer chasing the shift. You're no longer becoming. You are it, and the field, like a mirror with no lag, reflects that state. But only if you hold steady, only if you don't blink. Only if you don't fall back when the evidence doesn't show up as fast as you want. This is the line between a quantum leaper and a quantum wisher. One transmits and remains unwavering. The other transmits, waits for proof, and retreats when it doesn't come, collapsing back into old signals and old lives. But not you. Because by the time this message lands, you'll know how to maintain the signal, dissolve the doubt, and leave behind the self that can't follow you where you're heading. This isn't about mystical theories. It's about remembering the version of you that already exists and choosing to live from that state. And in what comes next, you'll learn to make that choice unshakable. Most people don't need more knowledge. They need a protocol, a way to act when the mind spirals, the body panics, and the old identity tries to reclaim them. So let's dismantle a myth. Quantum jumping isn't a single decision. It's a sequence, a vibrational ritual, a daily dismantling of the illusion that you are fixed, limited, or late. This process has 5 components. Not linear steps, but energetic stances that allow you to embody the version of yourself that already exists in the timeline you've been trying to reach. Let's call it the broadcast shift. Step 1. Acknowledge the discomfort as a signal, not evidence of failure. Each time the old self resurfaces through fear, doubt, or delay, don't criticize it, don't resist it. Recognize it as the threshold of your leap. In quantum language, discomfort is interference. A static hum between your current and incoming frequency. Most people misread this static as a no when it's actually recalibration. Step 2. Cut through the emotional pattern the moment it appears. When the old emotion rises, your body instinctively tries to follow the well-worn path of familiarity. But here's the turning point. Break the transmission. Shift your posture. Alter your breathing. Speak something out loud. Take a symbolic physical action that disrupts the loop. Neuroscience shows that interrupting a pattern is one of the fastest ways to break neural coherence and create a space for new choice. Step 3 is to fully embody the frequency of the timeline you desire. This is where the leap actually happens. You ask yourself, if I already had what I desire, how would I feel right now? Then let that sensation fully take over your nervous system. Don't pretend. Don't just imagine. Become it. For 90 seconds, for 3 minutes, or however long it takes to flood your field with complete coherence. You don't need to see the result yet. You only need to feel the alignment deeply. The field doesn't respond to outcomes. It responds to frequency. So let your signal be clear and broadcast it boldly. Step 4 is to take one tangible action from the perspective of your new identity. Quantum jumping isn't about sitting still, waiting for your world to change. It's about acting from your new signal, not to obtain something, but to express the shift that already happened within. It could be sending a message, setting a boundary, or practicing a new thought. The scale of the action doesn't matter. What matters is that it aligns with the identity that already lives in your new frequency. This is how entanglement begins. The field starts to reflect back evidence because your new signal becomes something it can register. Step 5 is to detach from the timeline and remain anchored in the frequency. This is the most misunderstood step. Many do the ritual, feel aligned, and then immediately scan reality for confirmation. The moment you start looking for proof, you fall out of the frequency and back into fear. A real leap means holding the vibration even in silence, even when nothing external has shifted yet. Especially then. That's the real test, because the field is always listening. Here's how to make it practical. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, sit upright. Before reaching for your phone, ask yourself, which version of me am I choosing to broadcast today? Then close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Let the answer come not from your mind, but from your body, breath, and energy. Maybe the answer is ease, courage, expansion, or trust. Whatever it is, hold that signal for 2 solid minutes. Then step into your day as if that version is the only one that exists. Speak from it. Move from it. React from it. Witness how reality begins to bend. Because when your entire being becomes the transmission, reality cannot resist. It must align. Not through force, but because you are no longer resonating with the echo of an old frequency. You've stopped being a receiver. You've become a transmitter. And transmitters don't wait for signs. They create them by maintaining the signal until it takes form. In the next part, we'll dive into what disrupts this process and why so many people unintentionally collapse their new broadcast. Even more importantly, I'll show you how to anchor your leap so it holds. Here's the truth many avoid. Most people don't fail to leap because they lack desire. They fail because they didn't understand the mechanics of energetic sabotage. They underestimated the power of doubt. They assumed checking for results was harmless. They didn't realize that every time they asked, "Is it working?" they were unraveling their own broadcast and falling back into the orbit of the old self. Let's break this down. In quantum physics, the observer effect shows that the act of measuring a particle alters its state. In transformation, doubting your shift changes its frequency. This isn't about forcing positivity. It's about not interrupting the new signal with old fears. Here's what happens. You declare a new self. You feel it. You act on it. The field starts responding. But then silence. No clear sign. Your old programming whispers, maybe it's not real. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I did it wrong. And at that exact moment, the frequency collapses. Not because the shift was fake, but because you stopped transmitting. The quantum field can only mirror what you consistently hold. This is where emotional mastery is essential, not emotional suppression. When doubt rises, name it. Don't embody it. When impatience creeps in, observe it. Don't feed it. When you catch yourself scanning for proof, pause. Return to your broadcast. Remember, every emotion carries a frequency. And the field isn't personal, it's mechanical. It doesn't punish fear, it simply mirrors it. So the real question isn't, how do I stop feeling this? But which emotion will I choose to inhabit even as this one appears? This is what it means to anchor your leap. You don't wait for perfect timing. You practice being the signal until your nervous system accepts it as your default. And here's the paradox. The less you chase the result, the quicker it arrives. Why? Because chasing implies separation, and separation vibrates lack. Lack tells the field, this isn't mine yet. So when you say, I'll believe it when I see it, you've already disconnected. But when you say, I believe it, and therefore I'll see it, you've leapt. That's what it means to choose your identity without external validation, to stand by your new self even when the world hasn't adjusted, to stop asking for permission to be who you already are. And that's the power waiting for you to claim. Here's your invitation, not just to listen, but to participate. Declare it, type it, say it aloud. I choose myself, not for anyone else, for your coherence. Because that small, decisive broadcast of emotional certainty is what your field is waiting for, not perfection, not performance, alignment that says, I don't need convincing, I'm already there. This is how timelines stabilize, not through struggle but through consistent return to signal. The one who can return fastest to their frequency, no matter what appears, is the one who shifts reality first, and that could be you. Let's explore what happens when the field starts to respond. Why the chaos that follows isn't failure but confirmation. Because when the leap truly begins to land, not the visualization, not the decision, but the sustained broadcast, the quantum field locks on. And when it does, everything begins to reorganize. What comes first is often chaos, silence, and a sense of unraveling. No one tells you this part. Your new frequency doesn't just magnetize what belongs to it. It pushes away everything that doesn't. At first, that can feel like loss, confusion, or disorientation. Right when you finally commit to the new version of yourself, relationships can feel distant. Your work may seem foreign, and old habits suddenly feel unbearable. Nothing has gone wrong. What you're experiencing is energetic misalignment revealing itself. Think of it like this. You used to be tuned to 93.7 FM, and everything in your reality, your relationships, patterns, routines, was synchronized to that station. But now you've shifted. You're at 104.5. You're still standing in the same environment, but now you're transmitting a completely different signal. Naturally, certain things begin to shift away. Conversations feel mismatched. People seem disconnected. Doors that were once open quietly close. What once felt solid now feels hollow. This isn't a step backward. It's resonance realigning itself. In energetic terms, your vibration has changed, and the universe is reorganizing, detaching what was once tied to your former self. It isn't rejection. It's recalibration. A wave of isolation may hit. Doubts may rise. You might wonder if your choice was a mistake. But this precise moment is where the fabric of reality starts to give way. As the old timeline fades and the new hasn't fully settled in, you find yourself in the void. The sacred pause. The in-between. Your role now isn't to react, but to remain steady in frequency. This is when your body and mind most crave the comfort of the old. To shrink, explain, apologize, or slow the shift. But this is where the foundation is set. What many call tests from the universe aren't tests at all. They're reverberations, the final echoes of your past vibration returning to ask, "Are you certain?" And your response isn't verbal. It's embodied. You rise. You breathe into the identity of the new you. You behave in ways the old self never could. You stop justifying your growth to those who demand evidence. You release not the people but the version of yourself that needed their approval. And then the current changes. Someone unexpected reaches out. A door you never saw before swings open. A synchronicity so perfect it brings laughter through tears. These are not accidents. They are affirmations. Signs that your signal has locked in, that your frequency has stabilized, and the energy once wasted on old narratives has returned to you. It may unfold slowly over days or weeks, but it always unfolds because reality is not chaos, it's rhythm. And when you become that rhythm, your timeline tunes itself to your essence. So don't fear the stillness. Don't label the void as failure. Don't misread detachment as punishment. Recognize it for what it truly is. A cleansing, an energetic detox, a cosmic clearing to make space for the self that has already arrived, waiting for your full acceptance. In the final part of this journey, I'll reveal how to remain anchored in this new frequency, long enough for your breakthrough to become your new baseline. Because leaping alone isn't enough, you must hold. There's immense power in a silent decision, made unseen, before validation, before applause, before alignment becomes visible. This is the essence of a quantum jump. Not the vision board, not the meditation, but the quiet instant you stop radiating lack and begin fully embodying your frequency, witnessed only by the universe itself. And the universe is always watching, not as a judge, but as a mirror, a vast neutral intelligence that bends only to what you emit. Now you know what your true broadcast is. It's not your thoughts, your desires, or even your words. It's the vibration you sustain when no one is there to witness it. And the strongest signal of all is certainty, not in a specific outcome, but in yourself. When you choose your own truth again and again, in the silence, in the unknown, in that waiting room between identities, you send the universe the clearest signal it can receive. This is who I am, and I need no proof. That's the moment the shift becomes solid. That's when the timeline lands, not through chasing, but through alignment, through becoming. From this moment forward, reality stops being a condition and starts becoming a reflection, a mirror of the self you've stepped into. So don't search for evidence, search for resonance. Don't ask, is it working? Ask, am I living from my future or repeating my past? That single question cuts through illusions, dissolves old timelines, and frees you in a single breath. Because once you stop reaching for change and instead become the change, everything around you reorganizes, and it won't arrive in a storm. It'll be graceful, subtle, inevitable. A new friend enters your life the moment you stop needing one. Inspiration flows the instant you quit forcing solutions. An opportunity arrives that defies logic but makes complete energetic sense. That's not luck. That's not random chance. That's the quantum field whispering back. Message received. If something stirred inside you as you absorbed these words, if something clicked, resonated, or moved beyond explanation, that's your energy shifting. That's coherence rising. That's your new timeline opening its door. And your next move isn't a grand gesture. It's a small intentional step from this frequency. Perhaps you write down the version of yourself you're currently radiating. Maybe you release something that no longer matches. Maybe you simply breathe as your future self for 60 seconds longer than before. Whatever it is, let it come from unwavering certainty. And if you want to keep aligning with this vibration, if you're ready to expand your coherence and deepen your quantum embodiment, stay connected, not just as a viewer, but as part of this transmission. Every time you return here, you're not merely consuming content, you're reinforcing your field. So if this resonated, if you're done waiting for external proof, if you're ready to live the truth that's always been within you, claim it. Choose yourself. Again and again and again, until reality has no option but to catch up.